Hello everyone, and welcome back to Everything Happens for a Reason podcast. So, as you can see today, I am doing a solo episode, and I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. And I don't know what way to approach this topic because it can branch out into so many areas, but it is a question that I get a lot, and even like from my friends, they always mention it to me, like, how are you so comfortable being by yourself, or like traveling by myself and that sort of thing. And I know that me a year and a half ago would have never been able to do half of the things that I'm doing at the minute. So I just wanted to talk about my own experience with the likes of like solo traveling. Obviously, I've moved countries recently completely on my own as well, and yeah, how I went about that. But as I said, look, from the get-go, I always knew that I wanted to travel, and I would have been the type of person that would have waited for, one of my friends to agree to come with me or somebody else to come with me. And basically what would have came from that is I would have never ended up going to the places I wanted to go to. Even with the likes of Dubai, I would have probably never came out here if I didn't sort of build up that confidence to be able to do things on my own throughout the last sort of couple of years. And all I'm saying with that is like that takes time. It takes confidence and it takes growth in order to actually step out of your comfort zone when it comes to that side of things. But look, one thing that I will say is if you are someone that's like debating traveling or want to go to a place somewhere that, your other friends or your partner or somebody else just wouldn't want to come with you, don't let that be the stopping factor from you not living your life. Stop living your life through somebody else's dream. You have your own dreams to chase, and you will always regret it. And like, I feel like I wasted so many years sitting in a place that I was comfortable in and essentially like not getting out of my comfort zone. Like, to me, that was a waste. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that at the time there was reasons behind it and I simply wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that stage of my life yet. But now looking back, I'm like, I wish I started doing this sooner. And the amount that I've actually grown as a person, I would say over the last year and a half is crazy. Like, if you would have met me 2 years ago compared to now, I am a completely different person. My personality is completely different. And in my opinion, it's obviously for the best because I can do things on my own. I am much more sociable when I do go out now as well. And I've more experience behind me too because I actually stepped out of my comfort zone and stopped being so settled in that sort of comfort and actually made myself step out of it. And yeah, take the risk in certain situations and do it even when I was scared. Stepping over that fear isn't easy, but the only way to get over a fear is by literally stepping right into it. And yeah, for me that came down to traveling. I knew I always wanted to travel. That was a big one for me, and it's something I've been thinking about for years and years. And I remember I used to listen to even podcasts like this of like girls talking about solo traveling and how it makes you grow as a person, and spending time on your own should be like the most valuable time. And I just didn't understand it at that time because I was so comfortable being in my little bubble with like my group around me and not venturing outside of that group. The people that were close to me, that was all I knew. And it was almost like I was living my life based off the way that they were living theirs, even though I wanted to be doing something different at the time. And one thing I'm going to say is don't waste your years doing that because I promise you, you will look back and you will regret it in that sense. But yeah, when it comes down to that side of things, like I said, a couple of years ago, I was a completely different person. And the only reason that I've actually grown to love my own company, and now if you know me, like I will much rather spend a Saturday night in the house on my sofa by myself, sitting there with my own thoughts, than go out and socialize. Don't get me wrong, I love a good night out. I absolutely love it, and I'm not disputing that. I love girls' nights. I love doing all of that, but I also am at a stage in my life where, I'm not looking for external validation. I'm not looking necessarily for a relationship or anything like that to sort of keep me grounded or keep me busy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel that loneliness, whereas maybe beforehand I would have, and I would have been staying in situations that I didn't necessarily want to stay in, or I would have been trying to surround myself with people all the time so I don't be alone and I don't feel that like loneliness. Whereas now, because I'm so comfortable being by myself, it's literally time that I look forward to. And the only way I got over that is through actually like taking the stepping stone to be like, okay, I'm going to teach myself how to enjoy my own company. And girls, if one thing you need to do, like, you need to get to know yourself. You can't show up as the best version of yourself. You can't show up as the most confident version of yourself. If you don't know who you are, you will never be able to show up as the best version of yourself. Absolutely ever, because you don't even know what that means for you. And sometimes, well, sorry, the only way you will ever find that out is by taking time to spend it alone. Take yourself on dates, take yourself on coffee dates, skip the night out, sit in by yourself, allow yourself to process all of those emotions, prioritize your health, focus on aspects that will improve you and make you feel better. And it's uncomfortable. It is extremely, extremely uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't an overnight flip for me. Do you know what I mean? I used to be so bored on a Saturday and Sunday. I used to have nothing to do with myself. I used to literally just lie about feeling sorry for myself, and everything else that came with that. That's completely normal. And it would have took one phone call and I would have ended up out on the Saturday night. But that's just because I was so uncomfortable in that feeling. Whereas the more you do it, you actually realize and you get to know yourself a little bit better, that it's actually a really, really nice place to be. And like I said before, it takes you away from that aspect of feeling like you need validation from other people, or that you need validation of any sort for you to actually have a nice time. You don't need to go on a holiday with somebody else like to enjoy it. You absolutely don't. You could be there completely on your own and make the most out of it. And like, for me, I absolutely love that, because you're not following anybody else's schedule. You will do whatever you want to do. You'll visit the places you want to visit, and you don't even have to talk to anybody else about that. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure we've all had a bad holiday experience with somebody, whether it's like your ex or whether it's one of your friends that you're maybe not as close with anymore. All of us have definitely had a bad experience on holidays where you wanted to do certain things and the other person just wanted to do either completely nothing or the polar opposite of what you wanted to do, and then you didn't get to enjoy that holiday for that reason because you were satisfying somebody else's desires. That's not what life's about. If you're looking to travel and you're looking to experience different cultures and experience different lifestyles, approach that holiday or that trip the way that you would want to. And sometimes the best way to do it is by doing it on your own. Like I said, last year I would have not even had the guts to go for a night away in around where I live by myself. Now I literally moved myself across the world to a culture that I didn't even really know at the time. Do you know what I mean? To a country that I visited back and forth last year because I was ending up planning moving here. But there's still so much I have to learn about being in Dubai as well. It's all baby steps, but the only reason that confidence came to me is because I actually took that time, like over the last year, to literally just love enjoying my own company. And I can proudly say this, and my friends laugh at this, like I will literally schedule days or schedule times where I am just doing something with myself. Like I'll take myself to a coffee shop, or I'll go for a drive somewhere. I'll take myself shopping. Do you know what I mean? My friends would be like, oh, I had a day off. Why did you not invite me? I could have came with you. I'm like, no, you don't get the point. I wanted to go by myself, And that's not to say I don't love spending time with my friends, and my friends all know this. They all know what way I am now, but so I know they don't get insulted. But it's not about that. It's not that I don't want to spend time with them. I just recharge my own batteries. I refill my own cup by spending that time by myself and just literally just filling my cup up again. Because social occasions drain me. They do. As much as I said I love going out and enjoying time with other people and meeting other people, I burn out, and then come the weekend, that's me done. Like, for example, last weekend, me and my friend went out on Friday night. We weren't even drinking or nothing like that. You know what I mean? Went out for a boogie, had an amazing time. Saturday we went for dinner, and then we went out again afterwards, again socializing, meeting people. Everything was going amazing. Sunday hit me like a ton of bricks. And like I said, I wasn't even drinking, so it wasn't the anxiety, it wasn't a hangover, it wasn't none of that. I was just deflated. I just wanted to be alone, and I just wanted to literally sit on my sofa for a couple of hours, watch Gossip Girl, and just chill out and make myself a nice dinner and just recharge my own batteries and refill my own cup, like I said. And it was nothing to do with the fact that like I didn't have a lovely weekend. I had such a nice weekend. I loved it. I had so much fun. And yeah, but it still sort of hit me that I needed to spend time alone in order to recharge. And that's completely fine. I feel like people are afraid to say that. Some people are the opposite. They refill their own cup by spending time with other people and surrounding themselves with people they love. And that's completely fine too. I love that as well. Do you know what I mean? But for me, it is. I just need to be in isolation essentially, and I've always been like that. Do you know what I mean? Like I suppose it depends what way you were raised as well and what way you grew up. Like I was an only child. Well, I am an only child. I'm an only child, so I was always used to being on my own other than my parents being there. Do you know what I mean? So when I got older, like obviously my parents would be working, I started living my own life and stuff like that. Like I'm still by myself most of the time, and that's okay. Like I'm so comfortable with that. But I think it does come down to obviously the way you grew up. Like I can't imagine somebody else, living in my house with me essentially, like as I was growing up, because I never had that, so I can't see it. I can't imagine other people being about. I'm used to the peace and quiet and sitting there with my own thoughts. Other people, might have 4 or 5 siblings and they're used to the chaos, and it feels weird whenever they're not there. So it does come down to many factors, but I feel like I'm starting to ramble on a little bit here. Anyway, so what I did want to talk about is getting comfortable with being by yourself, and obviously solo traveling. And this is a big topic because I know girls have asked me about it, and like, how do you do it? How are you not scared? Well, first thing I'm going to say, like, when it comes to solo traveling, have a wee bit of common sense, which we all do. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's safe, what feels safe, and what doesn't feel safe. Trust your gut. If it is like a safety matter that you're worried about, don't go to countries that are known for whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, stick to somewhere that you are familiar with. And I would say for your first solo trip, like it doesn't have to be somewhere at the other side of the world. Do you know what I mean? If you're in the UK at the minute, don't just take yourself to Australia for a couple of weeks or whatever, completely on your own. It could literally be in the UK. Take yourself to a weekend away, or like I would say like a weekend trip anywhere is good. So for example, with myself, I came back from Dubai actually, and I was obviously in the UK for the time, and I was just starting to burn out. I was just starting to fall into a wee bit of a hole, not sure how to come out of it. And then I was like, you know what, I need a trip away. I literally sat down on my laptop that evening and booked myself flights and a hotel to Valencia. I've never been to Valencia before this, obviously, and I literally booked it for that weekend. I think it was like Tuesday, and I booked it for maybe Thursday to Saturday, Thursday to Sunday or something I went away for, and it was the best trip ever. Like, I remember my parents at the time going, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, you're not going by yourself. Like, what are you thinking? Just, like, go with one of your friends or whatever. And you know what? I completely see their perspective, 100%, but I just knew that I needed that trip, and I had an amazing time. Like, I absolutely loved it. I was so productive. Like, I was still working and everything as I was there. And I think that's obviously a big thing. Like, I know it's not feasible for most people just to book a trip 2 days in advance to go away by themselves or whatever, or with anybody. Like, if your job doesn't allow it. But if you have weekends off, book it for a weekend. And it doesn't have to be as sporadic as me, where you book it for 2 days in advance. Like, you can plan a wee bit more into it, but for me, I just knew I needed to get out, so that's exactly what I did. And my job is flexible, so it allows that for me too, which is obviously amazing. But as I was away, I was still working. I got myself a little apartment because I just wanted the space. I wanted my own kitchen, and I wanted to like be able to sit somewhere and do work. Obviously you can do that in a hotel or whatever. I just prefer apartments. I like being in control of my food. Yeah, booked myself a little apartment, flew over there, never been there before. Like I said, I sussed out the public transport, I got myself to my apartment, I went and did a mini food shop, and I just settled in. Like, that is literally all it took. And then over sort of the couple of days before that, I started saving things on TikTok of places I wanted to see and wanted to do, and I did exactly that. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't have to have the conversation with anybody of, do you want to do this with me? Or like, would you like to go here? And then come back with no, and me feeling like I'm missing out then. I did exactly what I wanted to do. You know, I did all the touristy places. I went to cafes. I went to the beach and chilled at the beach for a couple of hours and grabbed myself a coffee and a croissant or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just filled my days, and coming home from that, like, I felt amazing. And people be so scared of that. At the time, did it feel lonely? No, like it didn't, because I'm used to that. The only times that I would say I would feel it is like when you're going for dinner and you're sitting there by yourself. I think that's what most people fear, and I get that. You feel weird. Do you know what I mean? To me now, I don't mind it. But beforehand, I used to feel that way. Like, even going for a coffee used to scare the shit out of me. But, girls, one thing I'm going to tell yourself is, that to take away from this is, take yourself on a coffee date. I swear, those coffee dates are where you're going to reflect on yourself, learn to be by yourself a wee bit more, put yourself into uncomfortable situations. If that means, going by yourself to literally just grab yourself a coffee and make yourself sit in that, I promise you it'll grow you so much as a person. Like, if one thing you're going to take away from this is, take yourself on a coffee date. Don't bring anybody with you. Don't bring your laptop or a distraction. Don't phone your friend whilst you're in your coffee shop. Literally sit down, bring a book if you need to, do whatever it is that you gotta do, and just sit there for an hour. That's it. And if you keep doing that, I promise you that's going to be the way to get yourself out of that comfort zone. And that's, if I revert back to like going out for dinner by yourself side of things, people don't care. Do you know what I mean? People are not looking at you thinking, oh, why is she by herself? Or what is she doing? Like, solo traveling is such a hype, like, in this generation that we live in. It is completely normal to go out for lunches, to go out for breakfast, to go out for dinners by yourself. Like, nobody's looking at you. You're the only one that's thinking that. You're probably looking around you and going, oh, everybody's in groups, etc., etc. That's fine. Let them be. They don't know what you're there for. They don't know why you're on your own. Do you know what I mean? Whether you chose to be there on your own, what you did. Like, they don't know any of that. And I promise you, people don't care about you that much. Like, they are not worried about what you are doing with your life to worry about that side of things. They're out on their own dinner, enjoying their time. Do you know what I mean? So that is the way you have to look at it. But besides that, like, I didn't feel that loneliness at all. Even with simple things like going to London. I took myself beforehand, like, on a trip to London by myself. I could have invited my friends to come with me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could have done a weekend away with the girls. I could have done whatever. I just wanted to go on my own. I had to be there for an actual reason. I think I had like a work thing to go to on like the Friday or something. So the way it worked out is, I got there on Friday morning. I went to the event that I had to be there for, and I stayed Saturday and Sunday just because, like, completely by myself. Stayed there. I walked around the city. I went on coffee shop dates by myself. Do you know what I mean? I just did what I wanted to do just to refill my own cup. I didn't have to be there all weekend. I only had to be there for, I think it was like 1 or 2 days. I can't remember, but I do know that I stayed on a couple of days extra just to have that rejuvenation time. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't even know. But yeah, I just took that time. And look, girls, I promise you, the only way you will come out of that is by actually stepping into that fear. Nothing grows in the comfort zone, girls. Like, absolutely nothing. As long as you're comfortable, you're going to stay stuck in that same cycle forever. And yeah, that should scare you. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to have a fear over anything, it should be to feel comfortable or to feel so stuck in that comfort that you don't see a way out for yourself. That should be what's scary. It's not taking yourself on a coffee date. It's not, going on a city break by yourself. It's not spending Saturday nights on your own, sitting on the sofa. That's not the scary part. The scary part is that you are so comfortable with being in situations that you don't want to be in and being stuck in living somebody else's dream. And that's the scary part that you really, really need to come out of. But yeah, like, if we sort of revert back to that, I get it. It's not easy. Do you know what I mean? It really, really isn't easy. And like I said, again, you're just going to have to step into it to get over that fear. But start small. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, you don't have to take yourself across to the other side of the world. You don't have to do any of that at all. You literally just have to take yourself a night away or a weekend away in around your local area. It doesn't even have to be extravagant. Or take yourself on a wee trip to Spain. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like with me now, like I did that, and I've done holidays last year with my friends, and I've done holidays by myself. And this is the thing, like if I got a notion tomorrow to, I don't know, fly to New York, there's not a single thing that would stop me. Like it doesn't scare me anymore, but beforehand it did. Like even going to Valencia at that time, of course I was a wee bit nervous. You're always going to be a wee bit nervous, especially as a female, which is shit, but it's true. Do you know what I mean? Like you're always going to have that wee bit of anxiety around it. But once you're there and you're showing up for yourself and you're being safe and you're being careful, do you know what I mean? Like I say, be smart, like plan exactly what you're going to do. Make sure you're taking, you know, the safety precautions that need to be taken. And that's it. That's all you have to do in that instance. But you need to actually get out and do it, girls. And rolling on to the topic of like feeling comfortable by yourself, it will be the one thing to grow you completely. Like people settle for things they don't want to settle for. They settle for friendships, they settle for places, they settle for relationships that they don't want to be in, just to avoid that feeling of loneliness or not knowing what their future holds. But the thing is, you're in control of your future. You are in control of what you decide to do with your life. And by settling for something that you don't actually want to be a part of, or by settling by something that doesn't bring you that excitement, you're just settling. That's it. You're never gonna feel fulfilled in your life. So you need to stop doing that, you know. And if you do catch yourself doing that, that is a red warning sign for you that you need to heal on your own. You need to learn to find that comfort within your own company, because that is how you're going to grow as a person. That's the only way you're going to come out of that settlement mentality. Because like when you think about it, why do we settle for places or like countries that we don't want to be in? Because leaving it seems scary. That's why people do it. Why do you settle in shitty relationships? Because your self-esteem is not high enough for you to believe that you deserve better. Do you know what I mean? You think that that's the best it's going to get. It's not. Like there's always going to be better out there, but that's going to be a reflection of who you are as a person too. And if your value of, like if your self-value is so low that you think you deserve to be treated like shit, then that's exactly what you're going to get, because you are going to agree to settle for that. Whereas if you actually come out of that and realize your own worth and realize that a relationship should bring more to fill your cup, do you know what I mean? It shouldn't, like, you shouldn't have to settle for it. It should be like a partnership that comes alongside that. That's when you know your own self-worth, and that's when you will actually find a relationship that you are worthy of, because you believe in it for yourself. And like I always say with that side of things, girls, you know, everything does happen for a reason. And if you are currently settling for things that you're not happy for, there is a reason that that's happening, and it's probably trying to teach you a lesson that, you know, there is something you're lacking, whether it's self-respect, or you don't value yourself, or you don't see your own self-worth, and that is something you're going to have to work on. And unfortunately, you're going to have to work on that by yourself, because otherwise you're just going to keep filling that hole of validation that you're not getting. You're going to try fill it by other people giving that to you, or external sources giving that to you, and that's only temporary, because the same cycle is just going to keep repeating and repeating itself. So learn to enjoy your own company. And like I said, it will be so uncomfortable, you will not want to do it. There will be nights that you can't think of anything worse, and you know you're gonna be in shit form over it, and you're gonna feel uncomfortable, and you're gonna feel emotions you don't want to feel. But once you actually go through that, and once you process all of that and come to acceptance of what's going on, that's when it all elevates from there. Because once you grow into that person, there's no going back. Like for me, there's no going back of like I said, if I wanted to go away tomorrow somewhere and I asked one of my friends to go, or somebody to come with me, and they're like, no, I don't want to go there, not one part of my brain would be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go either then, you know, if they don't want to go, like, I'm not going to go. No, not one part. I would have my flight booked tonight, and I would fly out tomorrow completely on my own. Like, and that's how you live your life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hate this saying, and as cliche as it sounds, but you do only live once. Stop living for somebody else in that sense. Do exactly what you want to do with your life, because you're the only person that's in control of your life. And if you have, you know, the luxury of like being able to travel, and if it's something that you want to do, then do it. Like there is absolutely no reason for you to be stuck just because somebody else doesn't want that, you know. And yeah, I think that's vital to remember. Completely vital. But yeah, girls, look, I hope this sort of helps in terms of that, but I will never ever stop talking about the importance of, you know, stepping out of your comfort zone and stop feeling comfortable in the uncomfortable, essentially, because you'll never grow as a person. You'll not see the life that you could have for yourself. Like, you have no idea of how much better it's going to get for you once you step out of that. Do you know what I mean? You have no idea at the minute, and you won't find out if you continue pleasing other people's desires and living your life through other people. Your life is your life to live, so make sure you take, control of the steering wheel, essentially. But yeah, girls, a wee bit of, like I said, a wee bit of a shorter episode, a little bit of background, and I hope for any of you that are sort of, thinking about maybe going on a solo trip, or simply want to just learn to be more comfortable being by yourself. Like, I really, really do hope this has helped, because yeah, like I said, me 2 years ago, completely different person to the person I am now. Even doing this, I would have never done a podcast 2 years ago. You know why? Because I would have been thinking, oh, what will such and such thing, why, like, what's gonna happen, how do I go about this? Like, there were so many things that I would have been overthinking, because I was so, like, in my little bubble of, like I said, just being surrounded with the people, that I had around me at that time, and that was it. I didn't know any different, and I was living for the validation of them. Whereas now I'm like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I know my reasons for starting this podcast, and I know my reasons for doing it. Do you know what I mean? And if it helps anybody out there, it's fulfilled my purpose with it. So that's all that matters. Like, I don't care what anybody thinks in that sense, and I think that's the way it should be. But I only don't care now. I would have cared 2 years ago, and look, that takes time. It takes growth as well, But yeah, girls, thank you so much for listening. I hope this helped, and of course, make sure to subscribe to the podcast both on Spotify and YouTube, and I will catch you all next Wednesday.